just about winning. We're a winning program, and that's what we want to do. We want to win, no matter what it takes. Yeah.
So our mindset is we need to get after them straight away.
We're aiming to be a championship team. We're aiming to be the very top. This isn't now about us participating. This is about us winning. Get used to winning, guys.
Myerscough 3, 1, 2, 3.
Myerscough! Yeah!
Welcome back in for episode 45 of Scough the Podcast, where we highlight the accomplishments and share the stories of the Myerscough Basketball Academy's student athletes, both past and present, as well as those who have helped build what the program has become thus far. However you are listening and however you found us, whether it's your first time tuning in or if you've been with us since the start, thank you for making us a small part of your day. I'm your host, Alan Gunn, and this week I'll be joined by Myerscough alumni and a 2023-24 Big Sky regular season and conference tournament champion, Milly Knowles. Milly was part of the class of 2018 at the Academy before moving on to Eastern Washington on an athletic scholarship where she spent 6 years at the program. Milly will talk about her time at Eastern Washington, how she overcame adversity early in her career, how her time at Myerscough better prepared her to make the transition to Division I basketball, and what it was like to cap off her career as a champion. Let's get over to Milly.
This is a battle. You have to be ready to battle.
Let's go,
40 minutes.
That's it. Let's go. That's it. Let's go. Hey, let's go. Myerscough 3, 1, 2, 3.
Myerscough.
I am joined by a Myerscough legend here, Miss Milly Knowles. Thank you for taking the time. It has been, like you said before we came on, it's been 6-7 years since we actually probably spoke face to face, which is crazy. So I mean,
I know, yeah. Well, I thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's a lot has probably changed since we last talked. Obviously, you've have gone over to Eastern Washington, have played just had a good career, solid career over there, and now you're moving on from Eastern Washington. I mean, you have to think. Did you think it would be 6 years from the time that you left Myerscough, you left Barrow, that you could say that you were finally done with the collegiate career in the United States?
Yeah, no, definitely didn't plan for it to be 6 years whatsoever. That COVID year, I had a redshirt year to take. I didn't have to take them, but I kind of was like, why not? Get another degree, get a master's, to set myself up for life after basketball. So it wasn't the plan, but glad that it's worked out that way for sure.
Yeah, and you get to, because you get the medical red shirt as well as the COVID year, you get to continue to play, which obviously for you is anytime you get to play basketball, I think, a sport that you have played pretty much your whole life is something that you have to be, happy to be able to just continue to do at any level.
Yeah, for sure. It was tough, for sure. 6 years is tough on the body, tough on the mind. But yeah, like I said, really glad that it's worked out this way. I've made some great relationships that help me set up for my future, and yeah.
And can you just explain, what degrees you've gotten kind of throughout your 2 year or your 6 years, at Eastern Washington?
Yeah, so I did 2 undergrads. I did communications, and then I did international affairs, and I minored in business. Then I'm currently in my master's program for public administration. I actually have 1 more year left of that, so looking to finish that out and start working at the same time. So yeah,
it's crazy, to think that you've been able to accomplish so much academically, and I think everyone focuses on the athletic part of the scholarship, because that's what everyone's working towards. You're working towards the athletic scholarship, and I think people tend to forget just how important the academic side of things is. You go to a school that's great, Eastern Washington is great programs. How did academically has it fit for you, being able to take advantage of that scholarship, from that standpoint?
Well, to be honest, the academics is what kept me going. It's what kept me out here. For me, at the very beginning, basketball was not enjoyable. America was not enjoyable. I could have easily gone home, but I think it was, I really enjoyed school out here. I preferred that ability to mix around, pick and choose what you want to do. oh, I don't like this, I'm gonna switch my major. I came here as exercise science, changed a couple times, and then ended up in international affairs. So I liked that side of it. I think that because I liked the school so much was also a really big help for me when basketball wasn't good. But yeah, that's definitely what's kept me out here. It's so important to me now, like looking back, that I wish that I'd set myself up more with like work experience, more internships, volunteering and stuff, but you just like don't have the time. Because now I'm looking for jobs and everything requires like 2 years experience. And I'm like, so I've been on the basketball team. Like it just people are like, yeah, and kind of thing. But yeah, I loved the programs. The professors were great. Like the professors now are helping me find stuff, and yeah, they're awesome. Really look out for me for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, there was probably some part of you at some point that was like, okay, I can go home and just be happy with that decision. You see it quite often, and I had Troy on the other week, and he talked about it as well, that you see more kids that go to America, are there 6 months, a year, and then are back playing, um, you know, whether it's, at a school in England, or they've gone somewhere else. But, I mean, there's plenty of schools in England that are sufficient enough for your basketball and career. But, why do you think it is, was so easy, or not easy for you to do it, but, was important for you to, stay there and see through, that experience?
Well, I think for me personally, when I commit to something, then I'm like, I'm doing this. I gotta do this. And I spoke with my parents a lot, and my dad is very much like, you're not quitting, Millie. Like you're doing this. Like he is big on that. So a couple times I'd called him and I was like, "Yep, like I'm done. Like what should I do? Like whatever." And he was very much like this. No, like you signed up for this. You've made a commitment to people, you've made a commitment to the team, like you fulfill that. So that was important to me, to stick with it. And then, like I just mentioned before, like I was like halfway through degrees, and like sometimes I was like, God, I only have like 1 quarter left. Like let's just finish it, like just do it, Millie. And then like that kept going and going, and now I've got like 3 degrees. So
And you mentioned your parents, both of them obviously, have been around the, Northwest basketball for forever, and have been around Myerscough, and even after you left, they were coming to games. For them to be invested not only in what you're interested in, but to be invested like in you. How important is that for you to be able to call them, whether it's your mom or dad, to, just get a bit of advice or just a little bit of reassurance that when things are tough, you're able to continue going?
yeah, that's huge, especially being on like the other side of the world. That's huge to just have that support system back home. And I know they would have supported me with anything. They do support me with anything. Like if I'd have really been like, nope, I can't do this, I'm coming home, then they'd have fully supported me through that as well. But yeah, they love basketball. They both don't know anything about it, but they love watching it. So that's awesome. They come out here pretty often, watch the games and stuff, and they love it. My dad loves it out here. He's got alter ego. He calls himself American Dave as soon as he arrives, and he's like, yes, Cheez-Its, Walmart, like, let's go. So, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, they love it. They're awesome. It's so important to have that support system for sure, because it is tough. College
Yeah.
basketball is tough.
And just what are some of those things that you might have thought you were prepared for with college basketball that, when you got there, were, not what you expected in terms of, the workload, the things that made it tough that you might have thought you were prepared for, that, regardless of the setup at Myerscough or whatever to try and prepare for you, you still had to kind of find, your way through certain things?
Yeah, I think just the repetitiveness of it, like for the last 6 years, my day had been exactly the same for the last 6 years. And like you get that one off day, but it's like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. And then like the next day you're back at it kind of thing. So I think I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for just like do like that. So that was like is exhausting. Apart from that, like I feel like Myerscough set me up really well. I wasn't like it wasn't a shock to the system with like the intensity, the amount of training we do was not a shock. Being away from home, like yeah, I was only an hour and 30 minutes away from home at Myerscough, but it wasn't like some of the girls that came here have like never left home, or like when they've gone to away games, like their parents go and stuff like that. So like I wasn't like home, like I was homesick, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, like I'm so homesick. And then just like that independence of living alone, Myerscough is like living alone, but like there's people looking after you all the time, and there's like you get your meals and stuff. So it's different to this, but it like was a good stepping stone for me to come out here for sure. Especially being from like small town Barrow to like come out here. Myerscough definitely like broke that in nicely for me.
And what was your day like usually, or kind of set up like like a game week maybe, like in terms of how you're managing, or what practice looks like, what lifting looks like, mixed in with your classes, and then obviously lead into the game because you've got, you're probably your scout and things like that. So what does kind of a game week typically look like, at Eastern Washington?
Yeah, so during conference we play Thursday and Saturday. So we usually have Sunday off. Come Monday is like light practice, like shooting around and just like getting back into it, still like recovering from the get like the week before. And then Tuesday is like top intense practice. We play scrimmage, whatever else. We got a couple practice guys that will like learn the plays of the team that we were gonna play, like just some action, like if they ran like a certain kind of like pick and roll or like something like that, we just like got it in practice. Then Wednesday would be scout. We would watch film, do the whole scout in practice towards the end. Thursday, game day, shoot around in the morning. Usually shoot around like 12, so I guess afternoon. Then we play at 6. Then Friday is like it's pretty light, but still we have a game Saturday, so we're still like up and down. Another scout, film. Then Saturday we play earlier, so we have like pre-game breakfast. Sometimes we had shoot around, sometimes we didn't, depending on like if people were tired, if we like didn't need it, kind of a thing. And then we would play at 2, and then Sunday off day, same again. Yeah.
Then it's just the rinse and repeat of it. How did you find, obviously you have to find a way to keep motivated throughout that kind of that regimented schedule. For you, what were the things that you did maybe in the hour, 2 hours that you had of spare time, if you even had that, to, either refocus, take your mind off basketball, or, just find things to, keep you pushing through that grind?
Yeah. So call my mom. I like when we would have shoot around, say, and then we had like 3 hours then until the game, I would always make sure to call her. Talk to family and whatnot. Something for me that was really important was like making friends that weren't on the team, just to have that like separation from basketball for a while, not talk about basketball, not like be at basketball kind of thing. So that was something I did as well. And then just like straight chilling out. Yeah.
and talk about this, because me and Neil actually went out to see Mate and Amari at Drexel this past February, and we got to see a practice, and it was very interesting to watch practice because the clock's going, because coaches can only have so much contact time with the players throughout the week. Whereas at Myerscough, the coach-player contact was pretty much endless. Like, obviously you had your classes, but if you wanted to have some individual training, it was available to you. Was it different, going from having, just that unlimited access to, more like, okay, we've got 40 minutes with you today and that's it, and we have to use that time Did you find that difficult realizing that you might not have that one-to-one that you were used to, as a junior?
Yeah, it was different for sure, but as well, like just because it was so repetitive and whatnot, I was kind of almost like glad that there wasn't that time, like so I could get a break. And like film sessions and stuff were long, and then we would have like weights every day, and then practice, and then you would go for treatment and stuff. Like you were there for a lot of hours, so like to add like another hour of like a one-on-one with that, I was like, yeah. But that was something that I really enjoyed at Myerscough. I loved those like morning sessions. I worked out a lot with Troy, and I think without doing those, then I wouldn't be here. Like that's really where I was able to like elevate my game. So I'm really thankful for it in England. Thankful that it's not that, well, it's important here, but it's not like, oh my gosh,
At this
So
point, you're probably more they're looking for polished players because they're recruiting at the top end of,
yeah.
the player pool. So they're expecting you to come in having already done the majority of the work. At that point, they're just trying to fit you into the system, I guess, that they're trying to, put on the floor.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely exactly how it was. At Myerscough, I was really trying to change myself into being that like 4-3-4, try and be more godlike. And then when I came here, it was like you have like your highest skills at like the post position, even though I was way smaller than everybody else. And then it was kind of just like stick to what you know, and then that's where I was for the rest of the time here. And yeah, like I was super undersized, but I held my own, and yeah.
Coming in as a freshman, obviously you only get 7 games before it's a stress fracture, I believe, wasn't it, in your leg?
Yeah.
How did that kind of, obviously injuries are part of the game, and it stinks when you get one, but for you, how did you handle that? And looking back now, is there anything that you might have changed how you handled it, that year? Because you had it 7 games in, and that was it, for your freshman year.
Yeah. So I actually got that when we were in Hawaii. So it was like a bummer. Like we were out there in Hawaii, and then I couldn't play, and everybody was like running on the sand and stuff, and I was just like, like sat there. So it was tough. It was tough as a freshman, like being like injured, and then I don't know, you almost feel like you've disappointed the coaches, if that makes sense. Like they brought me from the other side of the country, like the other side of the world, sorry, and then I'm like, can't play, I'm done. So that was tough. But now, like looking back on it, I think it was a blessing in disguise. It gave me that extra year. I like really used it as a year to watch and learn, kind of thing, really get to know like the culture of the team and like what the coaches were looking for and whatnot. So it definitely allowed me to be more prepared, like climatized to American basketball, because it is a lot different to English basketball. So yeah, I definitely think it was a blessing in disguise. Nobody wants to get hurt, but I do think like the redshirt freshman year is something that's good. I don't think people like look at it like, dang, I'm a redshirt freshman, but it's like, no, like you get another year at college, and you have more chance of playing, and you can make more of an impact now on the team. So yeah, yeah.
What kind of prepares you for that adversity? Because that's a lot of people are going to have that mature of a take on it. They're not going to look at it the same. They're going to be, obviously you probably were frustrated, bummed out about it, that, you had gone through it, but obviously you've put us like, it's a positive light in the end. How can players that kind of go through that, find the positive in, maybe whether it's their playing time or an injury, how important was it for you to find those positives as opposed to focus on the negative that I'm injured?
Yeah, I think that's tough until you've gone through it. And like, I definitely in the moment was like, this sucks. But now looking back on it, like that's easy for me to do. But I think just staying positive and doing the things you can do, like making an effort to get dressed for practice and sit out there so you're not like so separated from the team. In the weight room, like I was not able to like squat and stuff like that, so I would be on like the complete other side of the weight room, and then my team would be on that side like loud and cheering and stuff. So I made an effort to like move my stuff over there and be with the team. I think that was something that's super important. And then just staying in the routine too, like if they have early shooting, I would be there and I would do it one-footed and stuff like that, like just staying in it. And then my weights coach, so I also had a shoulder injury later on, but it was during the off season, and he told me when I came back, like during that time, like think about how you felt like when you were injured and what you really missed, and use that as like motivation now. Like I want to be here, I want to do this, and I like want to be the best I can be. So that was also something that I think about as well.
And you know, when I was speaking to Troy ahead of this, he had, and we were both kind of on the same thing about, okay, here's the question that we want to know. Obviously, in this day and age, it's so easy for players to, you know, have the adversity and then transfer. And now it's, you know, you're seeing, you know, several thousand players in the transfer portal every year. For you, why was it, and you kind of touch on it, you know, saying that if you're committed to it. You know, why was it important for you to, you know, stay at Eastern Washington and, you know, despite everything, whether it was coaching changes, things like that, injuries, why was it important for you to, you know, stay at Eastern Washington and not seek something else or try and find, you know, a different situation to change things or, you know, maybe try and change things? You know, why was it important for you to stay there?
Yeah, I think like the grass isn't always greener. That like idea of like the unknown, like you go into the portal and then what if you don't get something? And I didn't have really any game film. I didn't really play for my first 3 years. Yeah, my first 3 years I didn't play. So it was like I don't have anything for anybody to recruit me off. And there's big names in the portal, and there's players who have like 20 plus points a game, and there's not enough spaces for everybody to go to a school. So yeah, like I was like, stick this out, like what if I have nothing? So yeah.
And to say you stuck it out and then you end up starting 93 straight games, you know, across your last 3 years, what does that say about you being able to, you know, whether it's, you know, take it all in, breathe, and just kind of, you know, allow things to happen as they're supposed to happen? You know, what does that say about your maturity as a basketball player, as a person, you know, to be able to go through what you did the first, you know, 3 years, but then to be able to see the light and then you start 93 straight games?
Yeah. So I was thinking about this the other day. So my first 3 years and whatnot were not enjoyable, didn't play, whatnot. And then Coach Joddie, she came in. And then I was just kind of like I deserve this. Like I have worked so hard. I've not had any fun here. I've sacrificed so much and I've not really got anything out of it. So just like that, being able to play and really like have fun with it finally, was like, yeah, I deserve this. I think like how the last year ended was like really like the cherry on top for me. Like we won the conference, we won the conference tournament, then we went to March Madness. Like I was like, this, like really, like it's all been worth it for this. Like and I deserve it. Like I was super proud. Like I had like the most like career games played, and I think that was just like a testament to me like sacrificing so much and like sticking it out and being loyal to the program. And I hope that's like a record that will stick for a while. So
Yeah, I mean, you have to think, what was the difference going? Obviously, you go from Coach Wayne to Coach, Joddie Gleason, in the midst of everything. What were your
Yeah.
conversations with her when she arrived? Obviously, she would have spoken to the team, had individual, meetings with players. What were your kind of like initial interactions with her? Her having seen you, come through 3 really tough years. What was she saying to you, in those initial meetings?
Yeah. So it was something I love about Coach Joddie was the most important thing to her is like team culture. She wanted everybody to feel important and it to be like a real sisterhood. And I feel like that sounds like so cliche, but that was like something that was so important to her. And that was like the conversations we had was like what wasn't working and like what needs to change and like what do you guys want from this kind of thing. So that was something that I really appreciated, and we spent a lot of time like working that out as a team, and I think that really set us up for that winning atmosphere and environment. And then just like she just instilled so much confidence in me that I had lost, like coming from Myerscough to then America and then not playing, like I was just like, dang, am I like good enough? Should I even be here, kind of thing. So they really brought that back to me, and then just really brought the fun back to basketball. It wasn't like a chore anymore. It was fun, and I think when you're having fun, that's when you get the best results. So yeah, awesome.
And when you look at, Coach Gleason and, some of the coaches you had at Myerscough, what are kind of similarities that you've noticed work for you in terms of this is like you kind of touched on it before, but, what are the, whether it's coaching styles, how they set up the team, things like that, that you notice, um, set you up for success at Myerscough, but then also set you up for success those final 3 years at Eastern Washington?
Yeah, so I think the similarity is Coach Joddie created a relationship with us. I think that was something that the coaches at Myerscough did too. Like you felt comfortable around them, and you like could laugh and joke with them, but at the same time you knew the boundary and you would definitely not cross it. Yeah, I was just thinking about the field. You would definitely not cross it. But like that would just made it so much easier for you to play for somebody that you had a relationship with. Like I think when you don't have a relationship with a coach and they like say something to you, kind of take it like, whoa, like that's tough. But like when they do, you're like, oh yeah, like they want me to get better at this. Like, and that's something that was similar between Coach Joddie and Myerscough. Yeah.
How did you guys, obviously she comes in, does it feel, obviously this year is the most successful year in Eastern Washington women's basketball history from a winning standpoint, from what you've accomplished in the tournament, your conference tournament, as well as, making it to the NCAA. Did you have really any sense that, obviously you've seen it at the end, but did you have any sense that she would build something so fast, so quick that it would get to this point where you guys have so much success and, you're leaving the program at its height, like from what it's been?
Yeah. No, when it was first announced that there was going to be a coaching change, I did not think, yep, like in 3 years I'm going to have a ring. But I think after that first year, I was like, this is better. Like we won games, but we had fun with it. And I think that was like the most important part for that year. Like we made really good memories, and then the team was so tight, and like you just knew like nobody's leaving, everybody's coming back, like next year is going to be good. And then that second year we were good, and then we just, I don't know, other teams were good too. Like everybody kind of had returning players, and they just kind of, the other teams had them for longer. They'd been through the whole program. And then this next year, when before we even started the season, we were like, we're winning this. Like, this is not an option. Like, we're too good for this kind of thing. So yeah, I did not imagine it turning out this way, but as it went on, I was like, yep, this is happening. Like, yeah.
It was crazy. There was one stretch, I think it was like between, it was like maybe middle February to the the end of the season. I think you guys played everyone from second to like sixth, like
Yeah.
in the standings. It was like the
Uh-huh.
most gauntlet schedule like you could
Yeah.
have at one point, and you win all the games. Like for
Yeah.
you guys to have the confidence to just whoever you're playing, whether it's Northern Colorado or like a Montana, state, when you guys go in there, whether it's at home or on the road, because a few of the games you were down, and had to come back
Yeah.
in, where does that confidence just come from? That, like you say, we're doing this. This is our year. Where does that confidence come from that you guys are gonna, in that stretch of games, gonna win them all?
Yeah. I think it was everybody's individual competitiveness really like sparked that. Everybody really wanted to win. And I think that was something was really important. Like, you can be on the team and want to be there, but everybody wanted to win. And then we had some really good guards that really led the team. And they brought us back in a lot of those close moments. There was a lot of buzzer beaters. I think there was like 3 games in a row we won by a buzzer beater. So yeah, just that, like, we want to win this. And then I think another motivation was that we were joint top of the league with Northern Arizona. So we were like, we're not sharing this. Like, if we don't win this game, then we're like joint conference champions. Like, who wants to be that, like, co-champions? No. So I think there was a lot of like motivation with that. And then we had a lot of seniors, so I think that also helped with like, this is the last time I'm here and I played this team at this arena kind of thing, like, and this is also my last season, like, let's finish on a high kind of thing. So yeah.
I mean, even in the championship game, you guys were down. Because obviously ESPN Plus, we get to watch pretty much every game. So whenever you're on, I was messaging my parents, hey, Milly's on.
Yeah.
So then they would put it
So,
on.
thank you.
Yeah, but like you say, the ability to come back in that championship game, starts with, your guys' belief that you're not gonna lose. What was that championship game like to play in for you as a player? And then just kind of now having looked back on it, for a couple weeks, couple months, what does that kind of mean to you in terms of your overall journey, having spent 6 years at the program?
Yeah. That championship game was crazy, actually. I'd been to the conference tournament every year, but I'd never made it past like the first or second day. The year before we got to like the second round, but yeah, it was pretty surreal to like even be in that moment. But we all knew like what it meant to win that, and what was going to happen if we won that. So I feel like that was a motivation. It was against Northern Arizona, and we were like 1-for-1 during the season, so it really could have gone anyway. And I think, again, just like how I said, everybody was just individually like, I want to win this, which really helped. Because honestly, when we first got to the tournament, we were losing the first game against Weber State. So like, it all could have ended right there. But I think that was something that we really carried throughout the whole season, was just that, like, yep, we're going to win this. Like, yep.
And for people that don't know, I mean, we've had, a couple players come through the program now who have had the ability to, cut down nets. You've had Matse and Amari, Great's done it 3 times with
Yeah.
Montana State and Utah State. What is it like to be able to climb up those ladders and, cut a piece of the net down? You watch it on TV, you've seen it on TV, so it's a thing, but to actually be there in the moment and realize that, your turn is here and you get to do something that you've seen before, what's that experience like? And, what are you thinking about, like in that moment?
Yeah, it's actually crazy. you like go up the ladder and then there's like the big boom with confetti and stuff. Like it's so like surreal. Just because you watch it all the time on TV and stuff, it's like it was awesome, especially when we got to cut the nets down at home. Like all our friends and family and stuff was there, and that was awesome. That was on senior night, so that was really cool. But yeah, it's pretty surreal. And then there's like photographers all around you. It's like, whoa. Like, but again, like it's like what you've like worked your whole life to get to, kind of a thing. So that was awesome for me to like end my career on that, for sure. But it's also so American. It's so yeah, it's like
Over the top.
yeah, basically a lot of glitter.
Yeah, like that's what we always joke about. Like whenever we're in England, like obviously it's I'm American, but having lived in England for so long that it's like you kind of see it. Like everything that America does is certainly over the top in comparison to what you get at British basketball.
Like even the starting lineups, when the whole like place goes like pitch black and there's like the spotlight and the smoke and stuff, I'm like, wow, this would just never happen. Like imagine the starting five even getting called out in England. Like you just walk out.
That's so funny because like you have to think where you've come from as opposed like the places you've played, the leisure centers that you've been at, and now you're playing in several thousand seat arenas. For you, what's it kind of like realizing that you've reached a pinnacle part of your dream as a basketball player?
I'm so proud of myself, as like silly as that sounds. Like I said, like coming from small town Barrow, and now I like live in America, and I've played D1 college basketball for 6 years is like crazy. Not something that I would have ever thought happened. I'm so happy how it's all played out. I would have never changed going to Myerscough for the world. So yeah, it's awesome for sure. To think like how we used to travel to away games and the kit hadn't even been washed for like 3 weeks, and now like I walk in the locker room and my laundry is done and like my game kit is like hanging up for me right before the game. Like it's like, what is this life? Like it's surreal for sure.
Building off the conversation of having come from playing leisure centers to going into the locker room and your kit's laid out, and what are kind of the things that really stood out to you about that collegiate experience, some of the perks that you might have gotten as an athlete? Because I think athletes work hard to get to that level. Obviously it's well deserved for the commitment you've put in to get there. What are the things that you were able to experience as a student athlete that when you look back in several years you could be like, wow, that's kind of crazy that that was provided for me, or I was able to do this?
Well, I think firstly flying to the games was like what, like, but that was something that was crazy. When we went to March Madness, we went on a chartered plane, and I was literally like, this is something I will never do again in my life. Like, this is crazy. I had like a whole like 6 rows to myself on the plane. So that was crazy. I think like even like pre-game meal, like how well the athletes are looked after. We have like a fuel station at school where like there's like smoothies made, there's like snacks and food and stuff like that. That's something like, what, like that's crazy. And even just like all the things that there are in the training room, like all the recovery stuff, everything to like look after you and your body. We even at school have a therapy dog in the training room, which is crazy. Yeah, she's so cute. She's called Queso. And
like cheese?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's something I'll definitely remember. Like, I had a therapy dog in the training room. Like, what? I recently just got a job at school, and I've been working with other students and who aren't athletes, and like I'll be say something and they're like, what, like we have that at school? And I'm like, yeah, like dang, yeah, we do. So I think just that totally different college experience that I had. And then just like how well I was looked after. Like the scholarship is insane, like something that I came to university, I got 2 degrees and a master's, and I have zero debt, and I was looked after. I had housing, food, and everything. Is like, whoa, like this is the best thing ever. Like, I'm so thankful for it. I'm so grateful for that. So yeah.
And obviously you were recruited by Wendy, but then you finished with Coach Joddie. How, to be recruited by someone, what does that feel like, to have someone be interested and want to be invested in, giving you an opportunity, obviously you have the coaching change, but, to then have Joddie come in and say, okay, you were still part of what I see as a vision for Eastern Washington, women's basketball, to have
Yeah.
those sort of people believing in you. What's that kind of like to realize, they're going to give you all of this, and this is for you.
Yeah, it's crazy for sure. I'm so thankful that for both of them for allowing me to have this experience. But like just when I was getting recruited at Myerscough, like any coach that would email me, I'm like, yep, I'll go there. Like I just like fully didn't understand it whatsoever. And you just want to go to America so bad that like I was just thought that like I didn't know the difference between like mid-major, high major, or anything like that. Like I was just like, I want to go to America. So just that like being wanted, like when I was just like fresh from like English college, I'm like, this is awesome. So that's amazing. And then when Coach Joddie came in and she still wanted me to play for her, that was just awesome. Just like because I hadn't had like such a good experience and I hadn't played, like she had nothing to really go off. So the fact that she took like a chance on me was awesome. And then yeah, it just like really made me like want to play for her more. I wanted to work like even harder. Yeah, it was awesome.
And the NCAA experience, you get, an opportunity, and after all the work to play in an NCAA tournament, just explain that experience, because it's going to be totally different. Like you say, everything in America is over the top in terms of, what it's like. You don't have to travel far, to get to Oregon State.
Yeah.
So for you, what was that experience like to, be able to play and say that you've played, in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, it was crazy, honestly. It's still like not really like hit me. Like people will ask me about it and I'm like, oh yeah, like I played in March Madness, and then I'm like, but that's like crazy. Like it's not like fully hit me yet. So yeah, it was awesome. Like we have a Dobo, a director of operations, and she usually plans out like all the trips, all our food and everything. And then like her job just got like fully took over by the NCAA as soon as we got in the tournament. Like they planned everything. They booked the plane, they sorted out the food and everything. So it was crazy. Like we had practice and we were like, oh, we still don't know when we're leaving, but like be ready at this time. Like it was crazy. Like so then we like drove to the airport, get on the plane, and like everybody is there, like the whole cheer team, they took the whole band, all like the athletic staff. Like it was crazy. Like that's when I was like, okay, like this is big. Like we're going, everybody's coming. Like we even had to, because it was finals week, like we're a quarter school, so it was finals week for us, so we even had to take like academic staff that would like proctor exams. So they were all there and I'm like, dang, like this is huge. Like the women's team has never done this either. So it was like so much more of a big deal. Then we went to the game. We already played the year before in the Oregon State Arena, so that was cool. But when we got to the locker room, they had like kitted out the whole locker room with like hundreds of like products and like hair stuff, and like there was tracksuits, beanies, socks. There was like playing cards. Like it was crazy. Like all of us were like, yup, like everybody was like fighting over it. Like get as much as you can. Like I have like a lifetime's worth of deodorant from just that one trip. Like it was crazy. And then Oregon State was just like that team was amazing. They have a big Regan Beers, and she is the strongest girl I've ever played against in my whole life. She was amazing. So that was like surreal too. Like the first quarter we were up and we were like, dang, like we're going to the second round. Like this is crazy. So but their fans it was packed to the rafters. The whole place was crazy. And then we had a lot of fans travel because it wasn't that far from Eastern, but they were all just in this like small section packed together. They're like fighting over chairs and whatnot. It was funny. But yeah, it was crazy. The arena was so loud. And then we didn't win, but then we still like flew home charter, and then it was still a big deal. Like we didn't win, but like it was an awesome accomplishment. So when we arrived, we had like police escorts. In Cheney, they have like a big fire department. So the fire department like came out too, and they played like the fight song and that, and we pulled in, and then like all the athletes were there waiting for us. Like volleyball, football, soccer, they were all waiting for us, which was awesome. And then yeah, it was super cool. We were wearing like the hats backwards with the net tied on it. Like yeah, it was fun. That's something I will remember forever when we pulled up at school, for sure.
And where do you kind of like all the swag they kind of get given, like, your championship hat from, the Big Sky, where does that stay? Are you going to like, is it going to get put in the box, somewhere, and, maybe you'll open it up every couple of years to just, kind of like, that's kind of crazy. Or, how are you going to kind of remember this experience, from the last 6 years?
Yeah, well, I hope when I get a house that I'll have like maybe like a little shrine somewhere, but
A deodorant
right now,
shrine.
yeah, literally. But right now I live in like a shared apartment, so it's just in with my stuff. But when I left, they gave me like my friend jersey. I have like a basketball that is in like a glass case that has like my career games played record. So I have some really nice stuff. Easton gives everybody a letter E when you've been an athlete there, and that's super cool. I really like that one. So I have that. I took everything from the locker room. Like they from the NCAA locker room, the March Madness one, they like made little name plaques, got that, towels, got those. Yeah, like I was like a kid in the candy store, like so yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to display for sure. So
And I'm assuming your parents were both there for senior night, and then kind of did they stay for the tournament? Were they able to be there for
so
that?
they weren't here for senior night. They had actually come a couple weeks before that. And then my dad, he works shifts, so he couldn't get off again. But it was actually it was actually awesome that like all like the family away from home that I had created here walked out with me on senior night. So I had like 15 people walk out with me, so it was super cool. So I didn't just look like that one just walking out by myself. So yeah, that was nice.
That's cool. And I got to ask, because, we've seen the transition with women's basketball. It's blown up in the last couple of years, obviously, with Caitlin Clark and just all the plethora of players coming through, the different universities. Have you noticed really any difference, or, what are the differences you've noticed between, when you arrived on campus, back in 2018 till now, your last year? Have you noticed, kind of that seismic shift in, collegiate athletics, especially for women and women's basketball?
Yeah, definitely. When I first arrived here, at our games, we'd maybe have 10 people, maybe, and like it would be the same people that would come. But this past year, we had a lot of fans. And before that, like our boys team would do good, and they would have like boosters and people who would donate to the program, and we didn't really have that at all. And then this year we like really did, and people like loved it, and they were there, they were donating. We had our team banquet at the end of the year, and like even like faculty and stuff like that came to it as like to like honor us kind of thing. We got to go to the city council, and we got like officially recognized by them, which was awesome. Like the board of trustees from school, they brought us in and we got recognized by them. So just that, like the like recognition that we had, and like the fan base just like boomed, which was crazy. And then like away games, the same thing. Other teams were also had way more fans. Yeah, and then like I personally didn't do any of it, but like the NIL, like my teammates that could do it, they like people were making money, you know, like yeah.
Like we've got great. I mean, you've probably seen great
Yes,
off the
that's
board what he's got.
crazy. I know. Yeah,
It's
that's awesome.
it's unbelievable. Like to see what's.
Yeah.
I mean, it sets obviously, you know, it's wealth that's going to change his future. And
Yeah. Yes.
but to have
$2
like
million?
I know.
What? Kidding me?
But it's like it's crazy to see how women's basketball is taken off, you know, just in
Yeah.
the last couple of years. Not just in Iowa, but all over. Like it seems like everyone is realizing the value of it, the importance of it, and is wanting to get
Yeah.
involved, which is, you know, you have to think that you're part of why Eastern Washington is, you know, where it is at this point. So we always say that, you know, you want to leave a place better than where you found it. And I feel like, you know, how do you feel you did that at Myerscough? And then obviously, how do you feel you did that, you know, at Eastern Washington?
Yeah. So my school was tough because obviously the years after that, there just really wasn't the girls playing basketball. But I feel like even now, like I still get messages from like younger players from England, like, how do I like do this? Like, how do I get to Myerscough? How do I get to America? Like, what's the next steps for me? So that's something that like makes me like happy, makes me proud of, that people still reach out to me, that I still like left that trail, that like, oh, you can do this. Like there's girls from Barrow messaged me like, I can do this. I don't have to go to sixth form and whatnot. And then here, obviously, like we were not a winning program, and I've left it a winning program. So that was awesome. And then also just like the changing culture at Eastern is something else that I was super proud of, something that I made like a point of trying to change, make it enjoyable to be there, make athletes want to be there. So yeah.
And you know, did you do the camps with Mike, you know, up at because he would do like the all-star camps at Barrow.
Yes, the Euro camps.
The Euro camps. You did those.
Yeah.
So you know, having, you know, built the relationship with Mike Bernard and, you know, the coach and staff at Myerscough, you know, what is the kind of message that you have for them in terms of, you know, the ones that are still there, that, you know, Alex, you know, Hodgson, and, you know, all of them, like, you know, how important, you know, have they been for your development in terms of, you know, where you are now? And, you know, what's kind of the message that you have for them?
So important. I wouldn't be here without them. I can't say thank you enough to them. And then just like how surreal my life had become because of them. Like I was able to achieve everything I wanted to and more. But not even that, just like they were able to make me so much more of a better person. Like I really matured at Myerscough. I really like found myself and like who I was and what I wanted to like be, as like dramatic as that sounds. Like I really did. So I'm really like so thankful to them. I can't even like explain it, but like even now, like the skills that they've set me up with, like how hardworking I am, and like my drive to do stuff and whatnot is like from going to Myerscough. I think like what my life would have been like if I decided to go to like sixth form and do A levels and whatnot, like I don't know what I'd be miserable. So yeah.
And I'd be remiss to say that when we did our team of the decade, for some reason, you weren't in there, I don't think, and I feel like Shauna wasn't in there, which is a huge miss, I think, on not
Dang.
having both of you. So somehow we're gonna have to find
Redo.
we're redoing this. But I think, both you, Shauna, the likes there have obviously had tremendous careers whilst at Myerscough, whether it was with playing with the women's team, or doing the academy leagues. For you, what does it mean to be part of the Myerscough family? Obviously, you probably still talk to people that go there or have come through the program. So what does it mean to you to be a part of that family, forever? Like that's obviously like Eastern Washington, you're part of that family forever, and those things aren't ever going to change. So what does it mean to be part of both of those?
Yeah. It's awesome to be a part of my school family. I I wouldn't have gone anywhere else, and I still like hold that rivalry, like against like the other academies and stuff. Like we had some serious rivalry when I was playing, and still now I'm like hostile, like true to my school forever. So it's awesome to be a part of that. I know that those people there are gonna look out for me forever. I still talk to Neil and Troy, and they're awesome. It really means a lot to be a part of something like that, to be a part of something like so successful, which is awesome. Like I said, like it set me up with skills for life. So I'm just so grateful.
And just to finish, I also think that you, Shauna, and the likes are, part of the golden age of, you know, you junior basketball for Britain. Because you have to look
Yeah.
at, I was looking at it before we came on, like that under 18s team, it had like Holly, Charlotte,
Yeah.
Esther was kind of around that level as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be, kind of the generation that girls now are looking at to, you know, how do I follow in your footsteps? You've had, Holly's obviously had the success with the Lions, and
Yeah.
Charlotte's been over here, and Shauna's come over here and had a largely successful career over in Pennsylvania. To see that age and have had played with those girls, what's it like to be part of what I think would be the golden age of junior basketball for girls at.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's super special for sure. It feels good to be a part of that. I feel like I was lucky with where I landed in that, because after that, like I feel like junior basketball like was really not popular for girls, and that I probably wouldn't be here if that was the case for me. I'm also like super thankful for my parents. Like they took me everywhere. They made sure that I was in that, like basketball England camps, I was there. The Northwest regionals, I was there. My mom used to drive me 2 hours every week to go to spinners practice and play games at spinners to make sure that like I was in it, because playing at the level that Barrow had, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am. So I owe it all to my parents for sure. They made sure I did that.
Yeah, and they were always there, like both Amanda and they were both there.
Yes, they love it. They love it. They still always talk about, oh, I'm gonna go to Myerscough, because they love that light ash farm as well with the cake.
That's why they go. It's so
Yes.
funny. Troy's gonna hear this and he's gonna be like Light Ash Farm, like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, Milly, I do appreciate you obviously taking the time here today.
Awesome.
We're obviously everyone at Myerscough is super proud of what you've accomplished,
Thank
whether
you.
it's not just on court but off court, and your entire family is part of the Myerscough family because they've been around it long enough.
They'll love that. They'll listen to this and be like, yes.
Well, yes, thank you though. No, it was awesome. It's always good to catch up.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
This is a battle. You have to be ready to battle.
Let's go,
40
Myerscough.
minutes.
That's it.
Hey, let's go.
That's it.
Come on, let's go. Hey, let's go, Myerscough. 3, 1, 2, 3.
That's it for episode 45. It was great to catch up with Milly properly and to hear her story. I speak for everyone at the Academy when I say that we all look forward to seeing her have success in the next stage of her career, wherever it may take her. As always, you can follow Myerscough Basketball on Twitter at my_bball, on Instagram at Myerscough_basketball, and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Myerscough College Basketball. You can find all the latest news, features, and more information about the Academy over on our website, which is www.myerscoughbasketball.co.uk. Like what you've heard today, be sure to hit the subscribe button and check out all the previous episodes. Your support is greatly appreciated. Feel free to get in touch with the show across any of our social media platforms or through the Academy's website. Until next time, have a great day.